In a mansion built on silence and glass, she was just the maid. Invisible, disposable, forgettable. Until the day she was blamed for something she didn't do and thrown out like trash. But what no one knew was this. The CEO, cold, powerful, untouchable, had been watching her all along, and when she disappeared, he went looking. This is a story of betrayal, class, and a love that refused to stay quiet. Lena moved like a shadow through the mansion's halls, always present, never seen. She knew how to fold sheets without creasing, how to silence her footsteps on marble floors, how to disappear before the guests arrived. She had worked for the Lorenz family for 3 years, but not once had Mr. Lorenz, the billionaire CEO of Lorenz & Co., ever spoken a full sentence to her. Not that it mattered. Maids don't get noticed. They just clean up the mess. But someone had noticed her. From the floor above, behind a curtain, through glass panels, a pair of eyes watched her every morning. Eyes that didn't belong to the master of the house, but his son, Adrian Lorenz. Tall, calm, unreadable. The CEO no one dared question, and every morning, as Lena tidied the East Wing, Adrian paused whatever he was doing and watched. Watched the way she tucked her hair behind her ear. Watched the way she picked up broken things others left behind. Cue. Never said a word, but he noticed, and the day she was fired, he was watching too. It happened fast. One moment Lena was wiping the edge of the marble fireplace. The next, she was being dragged into the main hall by Ms. Halden, the head housekeeper, her voice cold and sharp. "Where is it, Lena?" Lena blinked. "Where is what?" Ms. Halden held up a small velvet box. Empty. Mrs. Lorenz's diamond. "Bracelet is missing. You were the last one in her room." Lena's breath caught. "I didn't take anything." But the staff was already gathering. Whispers began. Eyes narrowed. She turned to Mrs. Lorenz, who stood at the top of the stairs. In her silk robe, arms crossed like a queen handing down judgment. "I trusted you," she said coolly. "Pack your things." Lena felt the blood drain from her face. No one listened. No one asked. No one questioned. Just like that. After 3 years of quiet work, she was labeled a thief. As she gathered her few belongings into a plastic bag, hands shaking, Ms. Halden followed her to the door. "Next time," she sneered, "steal from someone who doesn't own the cameras." The door slammed shut behind her, but what Ms. Halden didn't know was that one of the cameras she referred to belonged to Adrian, and he'd already watched the footage. Lena hadn't taken a thing. Adrian Lorenz didn't usually involve himself in household matters. He ran a billion-dollar company, Maid, international deals before breakfast, and avoided personal entanglements like fire. But when he watched the security footage that night and saw Lena quietly folding sheets, picking up a tissue someone else had dropped, and not touching the bracelet, something inside him snapped. She'd been humiliated for something she didn't do. And no one had defended her, not even him. The next morning, the Lorenz house staff buzzed with rumors. The CEO had cancelled his meetings. He wasn't in the office. He wasn't in his study. He was gone. But Lena didn't know that. She was standing outside a temp agency downtown, clutching a number like it was her last hope, wondering how to pay rent without a letter of recommendation. That's when the black SUV pulled up. The door opened, and Adrian Lorenz stepped out. Dressed in all black, eyes locked on her like she was the only person in the city. She froze. "I need to speak with you," he said. She blinked. "About what?" He held out a small velvet box. "About this. And an apology that's 3 years late." Lena stared at the velvet box in Adrian's hand, the same one she was accused of stealing from. He opened it slowly. Inside was the missing bracelet, untouched, still sparkling, still whole. "The footage cleared you," he said simply. "You didn't take it." Ms. Halden did. Lena's heart dropped. She planted it? Adrian nodded. Sold it, then claimed you took it to cover her tracks. She's already been fired. Lena's lips parted, but no words came. The shame, the humiliation, the silent walk through the gates, it had all been for nothing. Why didn't you stop them? She finally asked. His jaw tightened. Because I didn't know I cared. Not until you were gone. Her breath caught. He took a step closer. I came here to return your name and ask for a second chance. Lena shook her head. I'm not going back to that house. Good, he said, because I wasn't asking you to return as a maid. She looked up sharply. Then what? His voice dropped. Come work for me, at the company, as my assistant. You're organized, smart, observant. She hesitated. You're offering this because you feel guilty. No, he replied. I'm offering this because I haven't. Stopped watching since the day I saw you cleaning a hallway no one cared about, and realized you see everything. Lena walked into the Lawrence & Cohn headquarters 2 days later, wearing borrowed heels and a blouse from a thrift store, and still managed to make the entire lobby stop and stare. Not because she looked like she belonged, but because she walked, like she didn't care whether she did or not. Adrian met her in the executive elevator. No words, just a nod, and a slight, unreadable smile. By the time they reached the 47th floor, Lena had been handed an employee badge, a company phone, and a laptop engraved with her initials. Her new title, Executive Personal Assistant to the CEO. Her new job? Everything. She managed his calls, tracked his meetings, rewrote proposals, canceled bad deals before he noticed them, and somehow made his schedule less of a war zone. The staff started whispering. Is that her? She was. A maid? Why's he always looking at her like that? But Lena ignored the stares. Because while the office gossiped, Adrian watched. He watched her challenge board members twice her age, watched her make millionaires stutter, watched her grow into a force that made even him take a step back, and every time she shut the glass door to his office, he caught himself thinking, what if this was never about guilt? What if I fell for her before I even knew her name? Success comes with shadows. Within a month, Lena wasn't just Adrian's assistant. She was his second brain, his first call, and the reason half the board's messes were cleaned. Up before they reached his desk. But not everyone liked that, especially Celeste, Adrian's former assistant. Elegant, cutthroat, and still obsessed with him, she watched from a distance, lips tight, eyes sharper than glass. The maid, she whispered to another executive. Let's see how long she lasts. That afternoon, a false email was leaked, under Lena's name, canceling a $5 million client dinner. The next day, someone sent flowers to Adrian's office, with a note signed, Your Little Maid. Tabloids caught it. Rumors spread. By Friday, Maid Mistress was trending. Lena felt the walls closing in. She sat at her desk, staring at her computer screen, stomach in knots. I don't belong here, she whispered. But then Adrian stormed out of his office, eyes blazing, jaw tight. He held up the flowers and the leaked emails. Who did this? He demanded. The entire floor froze. He turned to Lena. This wasn't you, I know it. She blinked, stunned. You believe me? He stepped closer, his voice lower now. I trust you more than anyone in this building. And then, turning to the staff, he added loud enough for the whole floor to hear. She's not going anywhere, but anyone who wants her gone can leave instead. The building was nearly empty when Lena finished organizing the quarterly reports. Rain tapped against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Adrian's office like a quiet warning. She knocked gently. These are ready for your signature, she said. Placing the folder on his desk, Adrian didn't answer. He was staring out the window, tie loosened, drink untouched. You were right, he said without turning. Someone inside the company is trying to break you. Lena took a breath. Then, let them try. He looked at her now, not like a boss, like a man tired of pretending he didn't see what was right in front of him. "You know what the real problem is?" he said. She waited. "You walked into my life, uninvited, unwanted. And suddenly, I don't want to spend a single day without you in it." Silence. She stepped closer. "Say that again." He did. "I don't want to spend a single day without you in it." And before she could respond, before logic or fear could interfere, he kissed her. It wasn't careful. It wasn't calculated. It was everything they'd been avoiding. When they finally broke apart, breathing heavy, hearts racing, he whispered, "Tell me this was a mistake, and I'll stop." But she didn't. She just whispered back, "I don't want you to." The warmth of that night didn't last. By Monday morning, the storm had a name: Ms. Halden. The disgraced head housekeeper who'd framed Lena for theft had resurfaced, not as a maid, but as a consultant at a rival company recently, acquired by Lorenz & Co. She walked into the boardroom during a merger meeting as if she belonged, shoulders square, lips curled in a smug smile. Lena froze. So did Adrian. Halden's gaze locked on Lena like a challenge. "Small world," she said sweetly. "Some of us clean floors, some of us clean reputations." That afternoon, rumors began to swirl again. A forged letter was discovered in Lena's HR file, one that claimed she falsified her qualifications. And even worse, private emails between her and Adrian had been leaked, edited, twisted, spun. The board called for a closed meeting. And this time, Adrian wasn't invited. Lena sat across from a circle of powerful men who barely made eye contact. "This company cannot afford scandal," one of them said. "You have become a liability." But before they could vote, the doors
slammed open. Adrian walked in, voice sharp, jaw set. "You want to discuss liability?"
he said. "Fine." He took out a USB. "Here's your real threat. The security footage from last week of Halden bribing an IT manager to plant evidence against Lena." The room went dead silent. He looked straight at the board. "If you push her out, you lose me too." The room held its breath. Adrian stood tall, his voice steady, unwavering. "Lena Mendez is not just my assistant. She's the reason this company is still standing." The board shuffled, uncomfortable. One older member cleared his throat. "You're risking everything over her." Adrian didn't flinch. "No, I'm protecting the one person here who hasn't lied, stolen, or sold their soul for a seat at this table." Another board member muttered, "She's still just a maid." Lena stood. "I was a maid," she said clearly. "I scrubbed floors so my family wouldn't starve. I folded sheets while teaching myself business law at night. And now, I manage the daily operations of a billion-dollar CEO who would rather lose everything than let injustice win." She looked at each of them. "So if you think I'm just a maid, maybe I'm not the one who doesn't belong here." Silence. Then, one by one, the votes came in, unanimous. Ms. Halden was banned from Lorenz & Co. The forged emails and fake letters were exposed. And Lena, she was promoted, Executive Director of Strategic Development. But Adrian wasn't done. Later that night, on the rooftop of the building, they had both nearly been forced to leave. He turned to her. "I built this company for power, for control. But you," he took her hand, "you made me want to build something real." A year later, the Lorenz & Co. annual gala looked very different. Gone were the whispered scandals. Gone was the boyish CEO hiding behind cold stares and thicker walls. Gone was the maid. Standing beneath the chandeliers, in a midnight blue gown tailored to every inch of strength she'd earned, was Lena Mendez, no longer in the shadows, but commanding the room. Next to her stood Adrian Lorenz, not just as a partner in business, but in everything. That night, as the music softened and guests danced, Adrian pulled her away from the crowd to the terrace, the same one she once passed by carrying a mop bucket. He held her hand. You know what I realized? She tilted. Her head. What? You were never invisible. I was just blind. She smiled. And now? He dropped to one knee, pulled out a ring smaller than the company he ran, but worth more to her than any diamond in the world. Now I see you, and I want everyone else to see what I already know. You were never the maid. You're the woman who saved me, and I want forever with you. Tears welled in her eyes, not from sadness, not from surprise, but from truth. Yes, she whispered. Always yes.